The book of Acts, a pivotal text in the New Testament, a story, a journey, a continuation of a divine mission. It's the sequel to the story of Jesus, a narrative that extends beyond his earthly life. The Gospel of Luke told us about Jesus' life, death, and resurrection. It laid the foundation. Acts picks up where Luke left off, telling the story of Jesus' followers, their challenges, and how they spread their message. It chronicles their trials and triumphs. The book of Acts is a history book, but it's also a story of faith, a testament to the power of belief. It shows us how a small group of people, empowered by the Holy Spirit, spread their message throughout the known world. Their faith was their strength. It begins in Jerusalem, the city where Jesus was crucified and resurrected, the epicenter of their mission. We see the disciples, filled with the Holy Spirit, start to preach the gospel. They were ordinary people transformed by an extraordinary mission. Fishermen, tax collectors, simple lives now with a profound purpose, but they were forever changed. Their hearts and minds ignited with a new vision. They were ready to tell the world about Jesus. And their journey was just beginning, and their message would echo through the ages. Pentecost, a Jewish festival celebrated 50 days after Passover, a day like any other until it wasn't. The streets of Jerusalem were bustling with people from various regions. The disciples were gathered together in one place, waiting as Jesus had instructed them. Suddenly, the Holy Spirit descended upon them, like a rushing wind, filling the entire house where they were sitting. Tongues of fire appeared over their heads, a visible sign of the Holy Spirit's presence. They began to speak in other languages, languages they had never learned before. These were not just random utterances, but coherent speech in various tongues. People from all over the Roman Empire were in Jerusalem for Pentecost, a significant festival. They heard the disciples speaking in their native tongues. They were amazed and perplexed, wondering what this could mean. This was a pivotal moment, a divine intervention that would change the course of history. The Holy Spirit empowered the disciples to communicate the gospel to a diverse group of people, breaking down language barriers. This event marked the birth of the Christian church, a new beginning for the followers of Jesus. From this moment, the disciples went forth with renewed vigor, spreading the teachings of Jesus far and wide. The message of Christianity began to spread across the Roman Empire, reaching distant lands and diverse cultures. Pentecost was not just a one-time event, but the start of a movement that continues to this day. Its impact is still felt in churches around the world, where believers gather to celebrate the Holy Spirit's work in their lives. Pentecost reminds us of the power of unity and the importance of spreading a message of hope and love. Peter, a fisherman, a leader, he was the first among equals. He was the one who stood up on the day of Pentecost and preached to the crowd. Thousands were baptized that day. Peter's leadership was crucial in these early days. He healed the sick, he performed miracles, he preached with boldness and authority. He was imprisoned, he was persecuted, but he never wavered in his faith. He was a rock, a symbol of strength for the early Christians. Paul, a different story. He wasn't one of the original 12 disciples. In fact, he started out as a persecutor of Christians. He was a Roman citizen, a man of learning. He was zealous in his beliefs. And then something extraordinary happened. On the road to Damascus, Paul had an encounter with the risen Christ. He was blinded by a light from heaven. He heard a voice. This experience transformed Paul. He went from being a persecutor to a follower. He became one of the most influential figures in the early church. Section 5, Paul's expeditions, spreading the gospel far and wide. The story of Paul's missionary journeys is one of dedication, perseverance, and unwavering faith. Paul was a man on a mission. After his dramatic conversion on the road to Damascus, he embarked on 3 extensive missionary journeys throughout the vast Roman Empire, covering thousands of miles. He traveled by land and by sea, often facing treacherous conditions and long, arduous journeys, sharing the gospel in synagogues, bustling marketplaces, and the homes of both Jews and Gentiles. He faced fierce opposition. He was imprisoned multiple times. He was beaten and left for dead. But he never gave up. His resolve was unshakable. He knew he was called to preach the gospel to the Gentiles. He wrote numerous letters that became foundational texts of the New Testament. He planted churches in key cities. He encouraged and mentored new believers, strengthening their faith. He was a tireless advocate for the Christian faith, passionately speaking to crowds and individuals alike, spreading the message of hope and salvation far and wide. Section 6: Trials and Triumphs. The early church's challenges and victories. The early church didn't have it easy. They were a small group. They were surrounded by opposition. They faced persecution from both Jews and Romans. But they persevered. They supported one another. They shared their possessions. They met together to pray and to break bread. They found strength in their faith. They found courage in their community. Despite the challenges, the church grew. It spread throughout the Roman Empire. It reached people from all walks of life. Section 7. A timeless narrative, Acts relevance for today. The book of Acts is more than just ancient history. It's a story that still resonates today. It's a story about the power of faith, the importance of community, the courage to stand up for what we believe in. It teaches us about the Holy Spirit, about the importance of sharing our faith, about the transformative power of the gospel. It's a reminder that God can use anyone, no matter who they are, no matter what their past. Section 8. Conclusion, a legacy of faith. The book of Acts leaves us with a sense of hope, a sense of wonder. It's a testament to the power of the gospel to change lives. It's a story that continues to inspire and challenge us today. It's a reminder that we are all called to be witnesses to our faith, to share the love of Christ with the world. The journey of the early church is a reminder that no matter what challenges we face, with faith, hope, and love, anything is possible.